Okay, I thought this one was kind of cute. All right, ready? The priest and the rabbi were standing by the side of the road holding up signs. The rabbis read, "The end is near." And the priest read, "Turn before it's too late." One car passed and the driver yelled out, "Get a job." A second car passed and the driver yelled, "Leave us alone, you religious freaks." Then from around the curve, the priest and the rabbi heard screeching tires and then a splash, followed by more screeching tires and another splash. The rabbi said, "Do you think we should try another sign?" And the priest said, "Yeah, maybe we should just say bridge out." I love that one. That's good. It's getting easier and easier, I'd have to say, though, to see the sense of those doomsday end-of-the-world signs that sometimes people carry around. Our world clearly is a mess. It's not hard to make the case that we're a mess 2 days after that tragedy in Paris, France. It's like, what are we coming to? The senseless slaughter of those innocent people by ISIS. That's front page right now, but really every day, every newspaper carries story after story of evil and murder and sin of every kind imaginable. I was thinking the whole wonderful culture of Christendom. Christendom is a culture. It's not really the gospel, but it was a values, a system of values that supported the values of our faith. By and large, I think that's gone, never to return. And somebody as old as me really grieves it. That culture that would support our Christian values is no more. And I suspect it's not coming back, barring a miracle. I don't think it is. Our catechism of the Catholic Church speaks of the great deception of the Antichrist, a phony religion by which man glorifies himself in place of God. Does that sound familiar? I think it's pretty much the world we're living in today. In other words, and I know this is not news to you, our world is a mess. So the crucial question becomes, how will we respond? With despair? No, not with despair. The message of Jesus in our gospel today, and the consistent message of our faith all through the Gospels, is hold fast to the truth, and the truth is a person, and his name is Jesus Christ. Hold fast to Christ regardless of the ups and downs of the world situation. In the end, holding fast to Christ will bring you to heaven. So stay firm, be faithful to God. That's the message all through the centuries of our faith. And in fact, Jesus in our gospel today tells us not even to worry about the end of time. It'd be nice, wouldn't it, if we knew when it was going to end, we could kind of relax and then just be really holy the last 24 hours or so? No. Jesus says that's not how it's going to be. He says, just trust him and stay the course. He tells us that those who stay faithful always triumph over those who abandon their faith. The true message of faith winds up being a message of hope. I don't know how it's going to wind up, Lord, but as long as I'm with you, it's okay. That's a message of hope for all of us. It's not easy to persevere, to hang in there. It's not real glamorous. I've been thinking a lot these weeks about perseverance. It's a virtue, but it's probably one of the least glamorous virtues, isn't it? What are you doing? I'm just hanging in there. I'm staying the course. Really? Is that? Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I love this story. I think I've told you before about Satan calling his devils together to see how he could get more people to go to hell. And he asked for volunteers. One devil said, just tell him there's no God. And Satan goes, no. Deep down, even people who say they're atheists or agnostics, I think they know there's a God. The second devil said, tell him there's no heaven. And Satan said, no, because people sure know there's a hell. sometimes a hell on earth, so they know there's got to be a heaven too. The third devil said, just tell them there's no hurry. And Satan said, go. You will win millions. No hurry. In other words, relax at the switch. Stop trying to live a holy life. Stop trying to be faithful to Christ. There's always tomorrow. No, that's the opposite of perseverance. With the virtue of perseverance, I wake up today, tomorrow, and the next day and say, Lord, I love you. Help me to live out my faith. Help me to grow in my love for you. It's like a front burner issue for us every day. That's the virtue of perseverance. So, Jesus doesn't give us the end of the world date because he wants us to pray and be ready no matter how long that is. History is going somewhere. This is kind of this is a Judeo-Christian gift to us. The ancient religions didn't have it. The ancient religions saw history as a big cycle, like a little puppy dog chasing his tail. It's not going anywhere, just around and around. Our God says, no, history is going somewhere. It's not there yet, but it's not a circle. It's a straight line. It's a trajectory, and it's going somewhere, and it's going to wind up in heaven with our Lord Jesus Christ. So that means we're getting closer and closer to the day of the Lord. Well, when's it going to be? We don't know. Jesus says even he doesn't know. Only the Father. But we know that our Master will come. We just don't know when. That means we're to live so that it doesn't matter when he comes. We're ready, whether it's tomorrow or in a million years. We're ready. It doesn't matter when the date is. Our whole life is a preparation to meet the King. If we live that way, the end of our life is not going to be terror, it's going to be eternal joy. There's a great Peanuts cartoon that I just love. Linus and Lucy are standing at the window watching it rain. And Lucy says, look at it rain. What if the whole world floods? And Linus says, it won't. God promised Noah in Genesis chapter 9 that he'd never flood the world again, and the sign of his promise is a rainbow. And Lucy says, Linus, you've taken a great load off my mind. And Linus says, sound theology has a way of doing that. Linus is right. When we have our theology, when we have our faith squared away, it does take a load off our mind. Terrible things have happened and will happen in our world. Regardless of what comes, we know that our God will never leave us or forsake us. And that's why our faith in God and in his promises gives us such hope, even in the midst of tragedies and terrible things in our world. Just a little final story to give us, I think, maybe some perspective. During the making of the film Ben-Hur, you have to be my age to remember Ben-Hur. It was amazing. It was an amazing film. They released it while I was growing up. Set in ancient Rome. Charlton Heston had to learn how to drive a chariot for the great race scene in the film. If you've seen the film, you remember that race scene of all the Roman chariots racing each other. After weeks of lessons, he told the director, I think I can drive the chariot, but I'm not at all sure that I can actually win the race. The director said, you just stay in the race, and I'll make sure that you win. The magic of movies, right? That's Jesus' message to us. Stay in the race. Don't be filled with anxiety or despair. You're my own beloved sons and daughters. Be alert, be ready, live a godly life, stay in the race, and I'll make sure that you win.